welcome to the open mic. We do this call because MSPs wanted to know what we've been working on, what's new with the platform, what bugs we fixed, and you folks wanted to do a little R&D or rob and duplicate automation ideas from your MSP peers. A couple of reminders. Let me see, who am I gonna call on? I don't have my Teams thing in front of me. I'm gonna call on Chris. I don't see Chris Arnott. Did I say that right, Chris?
Yes, you did.
So, Chris, how many MSPs do you think have succeeded with automation that have never asked a question?
-1.
That's really, really good. In fact, one of my indicators of whether or not an MSP will succeed with automation is do they think they're an expert? Because folks that think they're really, really good at it don't tend to ask questions. So ask questions. Ask them early. Ask them often. You folks can ask in the coop, and your peers can answer. You can ask in your private channel, and we'll answer, and we'll help to pull you over the line with whatever automation you're attempting to build. Don't forget to add time savings to your workflows, because the best workflows are the easiest ones to forget. And with this, I'm going to pass it over to George, who's got us this week. What's going on, George?
Not much, Aaron. Looking forward to a North American long weekend, and what better way to start it than with a community open mic? So we've got a nice agenda set up today. Got some cool things to show everyone, but let's get some updates ticked off first. We're going to kick it straight over to Daniel and his fresh haircut for some product team updates.
I'll have you all know that I got bullied into a haircut by other Rewst employees. Everyone was just so mean to me because I didn't get a haircut for a while. And yeah, that's Aaron was one of them, of course. All right, so what do we have for you this week? We have added ChatGPT 5 models to our OpenAI integration. So you can see that in the chat completions action. We've updated who integration icon. We've done a bunch of bug fixes, mostly relating to integrations. I don't know if I've mentioned this lately, but being a automation company that deals heavily in integrations are where most of our bugs are found. APIs change. We have to try to stay on top of it. So this week we've done a few different ConnectWise PSA bug fixes. We've done some improvements, or we've made a bug fix and added some functionality into Acronis. I'll show that one off a little bit. We made a bug fix for handling non-iterable values. So for example, if you have like something that accepts an array and you put a non-iterable in there, we were actually in certain circumstances seeing app crashes. We made a fix to that. And then we have a few chores here that we've also done as well. And then coming soon, we still have a few integrations that are slated to be released in the coming weeks. I think before October, we'll have about 4 more integrations in there, including Dropsuite, bVoIP, and Leader. We have a kind of user experience change, a small design change that is going to be moving back from Entra ID to sign in with Microsoft. No functionality change though, and then hourly dashboard updates. So just really quickly, you can see here OpenAI chat completions. We have GPT-5 is now available in there, as well as a whole bunch of other different models. And then with Acronis, I'm not going to show all the results here because this requests an access token. But essentially, we had requesting an access token was not or was erroring out. So you can see here, I just have the generic API request for Acronis. I'm going to the IDP token URL path, and then I have content type and authorization in the headers. And you can see here that when I requested that, I actually did get a success back, and it gave me back an access token that I'm not going to share. But yeah, that's all that I have to talk about today. So back to you, Georgie boy.
Thank you, Daniel. Next up, we'll keep things going with All Stop Roost and head over to everyone's favorite marketplace maestro, Mr. JP. What have you got for us this week?
Hello. This week, in the marketplace, we releasing a new version of a crate that it's built primarily. It's built for Autotask. It's basically takes the last logged in user provided by the integrated RMM tool and uses that, compares it to contacts on the same company in the PSA, and it's going to attach that contact to the corresponding configuration. I'll go over that in a minute, but one thing I did want to point out, you see this in our marketplace notes. I just wanted to highlight it because I think it's cool. Our documentation team actually built out some really nice documentation pages for the crates that we're releasing. So if you want more information about them, definitely recommend checking those out. I think these are great. They go through what the crate does, what it doesn't do, and how to set it up, all that kind of stuff. And they've done an awesome job. So just wanted to shout that out. We have a group of bug fixes in various workflows, and we have our coming soon items. One thing I did want to point out is in the Microsoft user onboarding, we're doing a lot of updating surrounding logging. So as you onboard a user, we're providing a lot more feedback that will be logged in the corresponding PSA ticket. That's been an ongoing project. I think we had dozens of tickets in various places throughout that workflow where we're going to add additional feedback so folks can see exactly what happens when you're onboarding a user. Which is useful if something goes awry or if you just want, a clear record of what happened during that process. Did want to, the few things we still have the BitLocker stuff and the workstation offboarding that we're working on. Real quick, did want to go over kind of that process I described for the Autotask crate, just to kind of show you guys what it does. So if you have a configuration item here in our Autotask, we've got some information that's been populated by our RMM tool. In this case, it's data RMM. It populates a last user field. So we use that to match it against the email address of a contact, also for the same company. So we run our workflow. Maybe I didn't click right. Yeah, I didn't click right. So it's going to run through, build some lists, do some comparisons, and then do some patching of configurations. And then just to highlight that in the configuration, there's a field over here that shows the contact associated with the configuration item, refresh, and it adds the contact so that when you go into a configuration, you have a corresponding contact to that configuration in your PSA. So that's all for the marketplace this week.
Great, thank you very much, JP. Next up, we have our education update, but Clea is on vacation this week, so we're bringing back a familiar face to many of you. We'll know him as the legendary Eddie Chow. Eddie, hello and welcome.
Hello. No. I'm definitely not the legend. There are many legendary people here at Rewst that I don't put myself in that same category because the true legends are astronomically more legendary than I am. But speaking of legends, though, there are other legends that we can shout out as well. For those who have taken the certification and passed, let's go ahead and shout them out. So we have, for the Rewst Foundations, Lucas, Noah, James, Alex, Daniel, Craig. You're going to have to help me with this one. Rev, I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher it, but Caesar, Adril, Brian, Josh, and Spencer. Spencer is from the Rewst side, so good job on your end. Drinking our own champagne, hatching our own eggs, so love it. On the clean automation side, we have James, Noah, Orion, Anthony, Spencer again, Davis, Adil, Ardell, Caesar, and Lucas. Good job on passing the clean automation as well. You guys get your nice certificates, your badges in Discord, and the secret Discord channel as well. If you have any feedback for us on the Cluck University, the goods, the bads, and everything in between, feel free to reach out to us on Discord. If you have any questions on anything you're going through, Discord is also the place to go on that Cluck U Discord channel too. We have office hours on Friday, a couple hours before this call, right? If you have anything you want to work through live, whether it's things you're going through content-wise, just getting a second pair of eyes on anything, we have the Cluck University office hours as well. Little late on the updates coming from the Cluck U and the documentation side, but we are working on a lot of things behind the scenes to get even more content out for you guys to be successful on your Rewst journey. So that's it for me, and passing it back over to you, George.
Thank you, Eddie. Yeah, guys, if anyone does have any questions, do take Eddie up on the offer there for office hours on Friday. And of course, as Aaron mentioned at the start, make sure you're using Discord to ask those questions. Tons of historical Q&A in there for you to search by different topics across our different channels. But anything education related, we have that Cluck U channel specifically that Eddie keeps an eye on for us. So make use of it if you need him. Next up, last week we ran out of time, so we weren't able to get to our dear Rewst employee, Mr. Ben Clymer, who's got some pretty cool updates to show us. So Ben, are you there?
I am here. So,
hello.
yeah.
What are you showing us today, Ben?
So a while back, I guess it was back in February now, we shared something I made, Schema Doctor, and I have dropped a new version of that. So this is the way it was before, which, I added some features along the way, and it did a lot of the work. But what I kind of came to terms with is this went through and fixed the existing errors, but there are some schemas that are a little too far gone. And so I basically rebuilt it in a way that it now generates new schemas and fixes a lot of the issues that it have. And so, I had these options here as kind of testing. It's not that anymore. We've got a new interface and we can handle some really large schemas. So for example, the Cloudflare OpenAPI schema is 300,000 lines long, and it's ultimately because it has a lot of endpoints. And so most people don't need all those endpoints. So one of the things that I've went in here and added is an endpoint filter. So if I only want to work with DNS, I can type in DNS and I can start selecting what's relevant that I'm actually going to want in Rewst. And then, maybe I need zero trust. That's another common one. So I'm going to tag these on, and then I'm going to click generate. And this is going to give me a schema that's, say, maybe 9,000 lines, 2,300. And it's actually going to import. And I thought I had a screen up, so let me fix that. Back to Pedro. Demo gods. Thought I had this tab up already. We'll fix that. Come on.
Hey, Ben, can you... Okay, never mind.
There. Okay, and that's only because the name's already in use. If you run across this, it's because you have another integration with this name. So I'm just going to add a 2 here. And then that'll go through with a successful Cloudflare API. I know that's one a lot of people requested. Same with SIP. You can test the schema in here and it'll get a workable response. The other kind of quality of life improvement I kind of looked at is, we do work with vectors or SVGs for logos, and it can be difficult to find that for some projects. So you'll notice in the footer, I actually added a vector converter as well. So if you wanted to have a Chipotle logo, we can vectorize that and get an SVG back that'll import into the integration as you created that. So if I was going through here to hit submit, it's going to ask me for the logo. We can put Chipotle there as the logo for Cloudflare if we wanted to. But yeah, that's the big ones. So some quality of life upgrades, a lot less, potential errors, and that's all I've got.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, very cool. Again, a lot of love and support in the chat there. So great job. Thanks for sharing. Seems like a lot of people definitely make use of that. So appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Okay, next up, we're going to move into some partner demos. We have just a couple today lined up. So towards the end of the call, there'll probably be an opportunity for people to jump in and add something on the fly. So maybe right now you're thinking, is that something I want to do? Have I demoed before? Settle those nerves and take the plunge live on a call today. But first up, we have Mr. Stuart Holm, who's going to be showing us some bits and pieces. Stuart, are you there?
I am here. Can everybody hear me?
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. So a lot of folks probably know Stuart by his adorable Discord profile, which is Stuart Little. You'll see him bouncing around in Discord, being very, very helpful to lots of different members of our community. Stuart, I always see you answering questions and helping people out. So yeah, thanks for being so active in our community and helping folks on Discord. I know a lot of people really appreciate it. Before we kind of jump into some of the cool stuff you're going to show, maybe we can just start off with kind of a couple of questions. I know you've been a Rewst partner for a while. Maybe just tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Yeah. So first off, thanks for saying that I chip in and help people. I figure, it's a scratch other people's back. So that way when I come across something ridiculous, someone will scratch my back. So, but it is nice to have a huge community. But I've been working in and with Rewst. I work at CDS. We're a company based out of the Midwest who's an MSP for a provider for a whole host of companies across Central Illinois and that kind of region. And we've been working with Rewst for about a year now, maybe a little bit longer than that now that I'm thinking about it. And working in and with Rewst to automate internal processes, be it auditing, be it auditing, or one of the projects I've been working on recently is our ticket escalation process, because some of the times that can get lost in the wash as to whether it's leaving our help desk and going to our on-site team or our internal escalation team or whatever. Keeping track of who's supposed to be managing what and who's responsible for what, it can get messy and things can slip through the cracks. So having a clear designated pipeline for that, and also accommodating people's needs, because some people prefer to interface with it through Teams, others prefer to interface with it through our ticketing system and what have you. So that way there aren't things just getting lost through the wash. But I guess the thing I'm going to be hopping in to talk about today is I've been building for that purpose a bot in Microsoft Teams. So I figured I'd give a little bit of a demo on spinning up one of those and this is a super, super bare bones. It's basically just an outgoing webhook and all the other logic is handled inside of Rewst. And then from there, you can kind of do whatever you really want. Is there any more intro that we need here or questions?
No, it's great. I always just like to get a bit of background where people are in their journey and where they're from. So yeah, let's dive in and check out this webhook and Teams.
Sure. So give me a second. I'm going to pop up in Teams, and I also have a cheat sheet for me, so that way I hopefully don't goof stuff. So let's see. I'm going to share a screen here, and we're going to share this one. All right. Are people able to see this?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to get my cheat sheet pulled up, and the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to create a new workflow, and we're going to name this Demo Gods Please, and we'll just see how this goes. So inside here, we're just going to create a no-op just so there's something for the workflow to execute. It doesn't need to do anything right now, and we're just going to name it Begin. From here, then what we'll do is we're going to go into add a trigger. We're going to make sure to activate it, and please work. And then we're going to name this webhook. And we're going to use the trigger type webhook. We need to make sure it has the post request type, because that's what's going to be coming out of Teams whenever we're using it. And then we're also going to want to have this wait for results. We're going to set this to false. You could set this to true, meaning it's waiting for a output response from the actual workflow. But the reason we're going to leave this to false is because the outgoing webhooks from Teams, you've got 10 total seconds to give it a response back, or it's going to say the workflow, it's going to say there was an error with the execution. So usually I'll just leave this to false. And then what we can do is inside of this section here, you can actually insert Jinja to handle and do certain things with the request that's coming from Teams to do stuff. But in this case, I've got just a boilerplate thing I'm going to throw in here that we're just going to copy and paste. And I need to get rid of this. So all this is doing is just spitting out in JSON format this section right here, a type which is of type message, and then the text that just says this is a test response. So then we're going to go ahead and submit this trigger, and then we're going to go back to edit to grab the webhook URL here. So I'm going to grab this, throw this on my clipboard so I've got it, and now we're pretty much done in here getting this set up to work. So the next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to hop over into Teams, and you'll have to be an administrator on the channel to get into this, but this is my little test channel that I do stuff in. So we'll go into more options, manage team, and then we'll go to apps, and we'll just, oops, not that. That was my bad. I goofed. I'm going too fast. We'll get to watch that again. Manage team, apps, create an outgoing webhook. And so all you need to do is name it. We're just going to name it demo. And the callback URL is that webhook URL that we saw before. Description, this is a test. And then from here, we can just choose whatever we want it to be. And I was playing around with some pictures earlier, and we're just going to throw in this little Teams bot. So now it's got a cute little profile picture, and I probably should have gotten rid of my other demo bot. I was testing this earlier just to make sure I could do it first try. But then we'll go back into any channel inside of this. We can go in, and I'll grab this one for example, and I'll just say @demo, and there's our demo, and we'll just say, how are you? Just so we have some input. This will kick over, and then there is my test response that came through and was sitting inside of here. Now, the other thing that's kind of nice is we can give it some extra logic for certain things. So we could, for example, go something like if request body.text, which I just know where these things are because I've been doing it a bunch. This is not something you just natively know. But let's see. We're going to go if you pass butter in. And we'll filter it to lower, so that way even if we goof up spacing and everything like that, it will still, or goof up, whether it's uppercase or lowercase, it'll still read it. And then we'll give it a different response inside of here, and we'll just have it, oops. And so now we've got logic put in place so that instead of, if we hit it with just anything, it'll just reply with this is a test response. So we'll just verify that it's still doing what it was doing before. And it'll still give us this is a test. But if I respond back and say @demo, you pass butter, then it hits us back with another response. So this gives you the opportunity to have custom-based logic for various user inputs for a whole host of random things. So you can have keywords or key phrases or key commands that people can put in that it can check for based on that text logic. Downside is, since you have to do it so quickly, you can't like plug it into something like ChatGPT and get really quick, snappy responses that way because you've only got 10 seconds to work with. But for these ones where it's just quick Jinja logic, it can have that info in and out in fractions of a second, so it works just fine. Now, this is cute and all for fun quips, but what can we actually do with this? So I'm going to cut to a bigger Teams bot that we actually use for a whole host of things, and I'm going to show one of the small things that it does. And one of them is just get details on a ticket. So for example, this one, what it does is it'll take a look at the actual ticket message, and this one has a URL with an ID number in it, and so it's checking for that. And if I do, and the bot's name is assign, because that was originally its purpose, and I say details, what it'll do is it'll go in and get me some of the details on the ticket. So, and it gives me a snarky response when I send that too, just so it knows it gets it. But it will, oh, sorry, you guys aren't seeing that, I'm on the wrong screen. So I tag the bot, I say assign, give me the details, it gives me a snarky response to let me know that it's doing something, and then it will shoot me back, hey, this is the status of the ticket, and this is who the resource is on the ticket. Or I could do something like assign last note, and so then it'll go and grab the last note for me on that ticket. Again, another snarky response. I've got a list of like 20 of them that it just randomly pulls from. But we're going to take a look at the details just because that's not super complicated logic-wise as to how it's doing it. So it comes through, there's just a generic switch or like a switch statement in here to determine which of the keywords exist, and then a workflow associated with each keyword. So then we'll take a look at this details via Teams bot. So there's some generic information that gets fed into it. So what channel it's coming from, the ID of the message request, the team ID, and then just the body and the headers of those things. And the message request is from the body. I'm just teasing it out and getting rid of some of the tags and stuff so that way it's easier to work with. But we'll hop into this sub workflow and take a look at it. So relatively straightforward. So what we're doing is we're first getting and this is the person who submitted the request, so we're just grabbing the AD object and throwing it in there so that way we can get that person's name, their email address, etc. And then we're also getting the original post, and so that way we can get the information out of this, such as the ticket number or any other attributes we might want to have. Particularly the main thing we're grabbing is the ticket ID, and so we're just doing a regular expression search for basically a string of numbers that follows ticket ID equals, and that's all we're grabbing is just the first instance of that as the ticket ID. From there, then we go and we use Autotask. We're just grabbing the actual ticket itself so that we have the JSON components we can work with, and this is a query into the Autotask data warehouse just to get that user's name and some of the other attributes so that way we can feed a response back into that channel because we need to get who the primary resource is on the ticket. In this case, it was Chris, as well as the status of the ticket, and that's in here. And from Autotask on the tickets, the status is always come in as an ID number, and so it's correlating that ID number to a human readable piece of text, and we just make those two conversions. And then from here, using Microsoft Graph, we post to that Teams, given the channel. I go here, given the channel, ID message, and the message ID. We post it, and we just return back with a little bit of HTML, the status, what it actually was based on the ticket, and then the entry resource's full name based on what we get from the Autotask warehouse, which is just a SQL repository of Autotask data. But it gives the opportunity where now you don't have to get into the ticket system. If you've got Teams, you can get access to some of the general information some of our region leads and whatever might need while they're out and about, or some of the engineers might need while they're out and about and can't get into the Autotask app on their mobile device or something. They can get what they need out of Teams. But that's one of the things this has been doing, and its scope and skill set and what it's capable of doing is slowly and ever evolving and changing, but it's been a fun thing to implement. That being said, I haven't been looking at the chat to see if there's any questions in here, but that covers most of the stuff I had going on with this. Were there any other questions for the Teams body? You're running multi-tenant because I'm sunsetting this on the day and the options no longer there and assured and you're making an app registration. Oh, yeah, so making this and reading that question from Timothy, making it, all I'm doing in here is under the Teams channel. under manage teams, apps, it's just an outgoing webhook. That's it. So even though it's not like a bot per se, it's just shooting. When you tag it, it just passes that to an outgoing webhook. I don't know. I know they sunset ingoing webhooks. I haven't looked too much if they're sunsetting this as well. If they are, I'm going to be kind of annoyed because this was like really convenient and easy to set up.
You might be right on that. I read that they were getting rid of one of the webhooks, so I was looking into doing the Azure bot framework instead, and that's when I ran into following like the Gigacode blog that's real famously passed around using the multi-tenant deployment for the bot. It's no longer an option in Azure, so that's just at the point where I'm at now because I'm looking to do this exact same thing like now.
Yeah. Well, and I know they sunset ingoing. I'll need to poke around and see if they are sunsetting outgoing because you could be right on that. And if they are, then I'm going to have to rework a bunch of stuff. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to be a super happy camper, but is what it is. I probably shouldn't have to rework too much, just kind of what's feeding into it out of the gate. But either way, for the time being, it works. When Microsoft finally kicks me in the rear and says, yeah, you got to fix it, then I guess I got to start doing that. But at least for the time being, it'll work.
Microsoft kicking MSPs in the rear. Color me surprised. So that was that's awesome, Stuart. Thanks. That was such a comprehensive demo of like a really cool automation. Yeah, loved it. And also, as someone who's hovering around Rick and Morty and needs to watch more of it, love being on a good old you pass butter inside joke.
Thank you. I do also have that, like the process for creating that outgoing webhook. It's like 4 points in a Word document. I'll just throw it in here in case somebody wants to use it, just in case they miss the. Yeah, there we go. That should do it. Oh, it's in there. But all right,
And Mark made a good point there. I just want to call it out for anyone watching on the recording. And so like that's a solid way for folks to be able to get ticket info without having to license them in ConnectWise. So, keeping people like your salespeople out of ConnectWise for costs or licensing, but they need ticket details. So good call out, Mark. Definitely something folks can leverage there for sure. Just before we move on, Stuart, just because seeing that you are very helpful in Discord, I just wanted to take the opportunity to ask you, and this is out of the blue, so sorry to put you on the spot, but would you have any tips or tricks for new Rewst users? Is there anything that you're seeing over the past 12 months that you'd say if you had your time again, you do differently, or you kind of see people just needing some help with similar things? Any nuggets of wisdom you'd want to share in general?
Nothing like earth-shattering. Definitely asking people questions, even if you think it's a dumb, stupid question. Like, hey, not to call somebody out to say this is a dumb question, but that they may have felt it was. Is somebody was saying like, hey, I'm having a hard time accessing items inside this list. What the heck's going on? And someone was like, oh, you just put bracket 0 behind it to get the first item in the list. And for somebody who's been in the engine or been working with Python or Rewst or Jinja or other coding languages, that's not like something that somebody who's in one of those languages would find difficult, but someone new to writing code or writing Jinja or whatever, that's not something that's immediately intuitive. And asking those questions and getting those types of things, that's how you become better. And that's how at some point you become a resource for somebody else, is asking the question that you might feel like is a dumb, silly question and someone being able to come in and help you, or digging around and finding your own thing. So I don't know, I think being open to ask a question and not being nervous about looking dumb is incredibly valuable, because at the end of the day, a year or two ago when I'm getting into this stuff, I looked really stupid too. And yes, list comprehensions are ridiculous and I still don't understand. I vaguely understand how they work. I have never confidently used a list comprehension ever. But yeah, basically just ask questions, be willing to ask questions, and be willing to collaborate on answers for questions too, because there have been tons of times where someone asks a question and I throw something out there and someone goes, oh, here's another way to do this. And I'm like, duh, that's so much better. Why didn't I think of doing this? And then I go and rework a bunch of stuff based on the other information that somebody else gave in. So that's the other thing too that can be useful, is the back and forth between people even answering questions, that you can talk your way into other things. But
yeah, it's good
again,
advice.
like,
I love that point as well. Like whenever you said you're first starting out, maybe feeling silly for asking stuff, and but now look at you helping lots of other people and kind of paying it forward. So yeah, as Aaron said, every week keep asking those questions, keep being successful. So thanks so much again, Stuart, for sharing that today. Really good demo.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Perfect. All right, we're going to move on to Mr. Alden. You've got a little something to show us up next. Are you there, Alden?
Am I here? What a
You
question to
are.
ask.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. Great. Long time listener, first time caller. Howdy everyone. I am Alden. Sounds like I need no introduction, but just real quick, I sell labs as a service primarily via Alden's Lab Lab. I also do some consulting with SIP, and I do software engineering for a company called the Affiliate Network. So today I have just kind of a little brief automation, because it is the small ones that really do matter. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And like I said, it's real brief. It's 3 steps. We got a SQL query, just kind of real basic select stuff type deal. Some data formatting here. So I am taking the results from the SQL and I'm just kind of reconverting them into JSON. I'm sure there's a billion better ways to skin this cat, but this one works. So why move on? I've got a list of random numbers. Thank you everyone for participating. And then I have, just a real quick, deal here that I'm gonna have to change now that I've shared this. But it is just kind of posting straight up to my SQL database, my vector database from the SQL, and that's really just it. It's that simple, and because of that, I now have essentially vibe searching through our entire SQL database. And this whole workflow is kicked off via a webhook that is kind of only kicked off if there's an actual change in the data in our hourly pulls from our CRM into our backup database. So we do kind of end up just really streamlining this, not overusing, not abusing the servers here at Rewst. As much as I would love to just set this on a 5 p.m. cron and run it, we do need this this data to be, very, very up to date for kind of all of our other LLM tools that utilize our data. That's really it.
Awesome, thanks, Alden. Yeah, like you said, sometimes the small, simple workflows are the best. These are the things that you use repetitively that saves you minutes throughout the day. But those time savings compound, right? So yeah, I love seeing short, simple workflows, sub workflows, things that people can look at and that maybe are only 2 or 3 steps that go, hey, yeah, I could definitely do that. So appreciate you sharing. Anyone have any questions on that before we move on? Any questions for Alden on that? See in the chat, we're all talking about skinning cats and breaking things. That's good too. That's what we're here to do. Cool. All right. Well, that was for our scheduled demos, guys. We've still got 20 minutes left on the call. If there's anybody who wants to jump in and share anything on the fly or ad hoc, now is the time. If you've got something cool to show, maybe it's not even done yet. Maybe you're 80% of the way there, yeah, you just want some tips and tricks from the community. That's a great opportunity to share that. But does anyone have anything they would like to show?
I've got one I can probably show that I spoke with Eddie on earlier today during office hours.
Perfect. Look, we're tying it all together, Tanner. Tanner's leveraging office hours with Eddie on a Friday, getting prepped for the open mic call. What was it you guys were discussing earlier, Tanner?
Yeah, so quick background. We have been a ConnectWise Automate shop for probably 15 years now. And after Flow this year, we decided to make the jump over to Ninja, hence the hat. And we started that process a little over a month ago, maybe a month and a half. And one of the biggest hurdles is all of that archaic information that is buried in Automate. You know, we've got 15 years worth of scripts and processes that we really heavily used extra data fields in Automate to determine, like, look, we use auto elevate, for example. We would use the extra data field to determine what mode we deployed auto elevate in for that company. So we leaned heavily into automation from the very beginning. With that said, besides just moving, you know, monitoring and normal scripts from one RMM to another, we're also moving all of that extra data. So we decided early on that we were going to use Rewst to sort of lift and shift that data into Ninja. And that said, I will share my screen and show what I wound up building to do that.
Sounds good.
All right, we should be seeing a extra data field screen in Automate now. And just for the sake of this demo, I checked the exclude DNS filter box for this particular computer. And there, like I said, there's a lot of archaic information out here. I found stuff on backup solutions that don't even exist anymore, tools like Ninite, things that we used 10 years ago and forgot about since then. So, you know, obviously we don't want to bring over everything, but for the things we want to bring over, like we want to keep the knowledge of what computers are excluded from DNS filter. I built this workflow, which I will go ahead and trigger, and then as it's running, I'll take a step-by-step and then hopefully show us some successful results at the end. But this is the form that lays over top of it all. In this case, I am wanting to copy a device field from the computer in Automate to the corresponding computer in Ninja. So I'm going to grab a device scope. It's going to spin through the extra data fields. This is just populating a list based on what's available in Automate. I will look for my exclusions for DNS filter, and I need to choose a target field in Ninja, which is exclude DNS filter, hit submit, and while that's chugging in the background, here is sort of the landing page for that form. Depending on the scope of the field, whether it's organization level, location level, device level, we are spinning through all locations in Ninja. We are jumping in and finding the corresponding Automate location. So when we were importing organizations into Ninja, we used Rewst to add the organization ID from Automate into Ninja so we could then look that up on the fly. We did the same thing with the locations and the same thing with devices. Sorry, I jumped into the org instead of the device here, but it's accomplishing the same thing. It's just looking up that corresponding device ID. It's figuring out what type of field we're pulling from because Automate structures it differently depending on if it's a Boolean checkbox, a string, a dropdown. This workflow gets that data and then passes it on to the final workflow. Let that think for a second, maybe. There we go. Which just goes through. If we don't provide it with all the information it needs, it looks up like the parent ID for a location, what that organization is, and for the device, it's going to go through and set that new field in Ninja. I'm going to go ahead and close some of this, and we will check our results and see how that workflow is coming. Oops, sorry, just a second. Let me figure out where I was. Any questions while I'm checking on our results? And I'll reshare in a second.
Nothing in the chat at the minute, Tanner. But lots of people, yeah, certainly chatting about automating API limitations.
Yeah, we definitely uncovered a lot so far. On both, it's not perfect on the Ninja side. It's been quite an experience uncovering some of the quirks, which we knew what we were getting into. There is no perfect RMM, but we wound up choosing Ninja for multiple reasons. So I just checked, and our workflow's up to 3,600 successful tasks, and it looks like I'm still waiting on it to spin through that Ninja device, but that was the gist of it. And of course, I got logged out during the middle of that, so I'm having to sign back in. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. I glossed over a bit, but
I just have one quick question, Tanner.
Yeah.
Just for me, like just from a process point of view, obviously this is a significant, migration project. What did that look like from the planning? And was it you and some other members of the team getting together in person and whiteboarding some stuff out, or what were the main conversations around making sure you had everything ready and I guess in line to be moved over?
Yeah, so we are a smaller shop. We're 10 employees, and I'm sort of leading this migration, and one of our managing partners is helping me plan it out and then execute sort of the reconciliation and billing side. He does a lot of our in-house automation with custom Python and Django and all of that. I had more of our technical side, but we have a deadline of end of January is when Automate is going to be shut down, is our plan. And sort of doing this in phases. So we had always used a layered approach to the devices we manage for our clients. So we would have a layer for base security products. We would have a layer for OS patching, application patching, and so on. So we're going about this by those layers. We kind of had a foundation for this before. Our first phase is really, let's make sure we have parity, a functional parity between Automate and Ninja for things like our base security solutions, like our Huntress, our Auto Elevate, our PAM solution, and so on. And then once we have that set in stone, we'll enable the automation on the Ninja side. We'll kill the automation on the Automate side. We'll run that for a while and work through any issues we need to, and then it'll be on to the next layer, which will be the OS patching in our case. At some point, we'll get to where we actually reconcile out of Ninja instead of Automate, but we're still a ways off from that. Thankfully, still have time on our side, but we're well aware of the scope of the project.
Yeah, no, it's certainly, RMM migrations are massive, and yeah, it seems like you've got a pretty good plan in place. So, and we know here is like lots of partners using Ninja as well, and we recently just created that Birds of a Feather Ninja specific channel. So if you have questions, or if there's any Ninja gurus out there in our Rewst community, yeah, feel free to ping Tanner or reach out to him if you've got tips, tricks, or can offer any ideas or help. And that's definitely a great channel for those conversations to happen in, so other people in the community, both now and in the future, can benefit, and people are going through the same processes.
Absolutely. If there is a limitation with the Ninja API, I've probably already run into it, so just hit me up.
There you
go. Since we mentioned ConnectWise, we are, if we're not already, we're seconds away from finally getting on the Invent program. There are a number of you likely on this call that helped us to be able to do that. And so thank you. It used to be that as a vendor, you had to share a portion of your revenue with ConnectWise to be an Invent, which is like impossible to do. I think they've changed a whole heck of a lot of the Invent requirements now. And so it looks like we can get on there now. We do not pick a vendor winner, right? If you want to use Automate, great. If you want to use Ninja, great. We want you to be able to pick whatever the heck products you want to use.
Well, with just a few minutes left, did anyone have anything else that they wanted to share or any questions that they wanted to pose? If not, have a cheeky little person I'm going to call on who doesn't know about it yet.
I've got a question. My name
Go
is
ahead,
Nick. Okay, thank you so much. This meeting is awesome. Always like joining it, learning a lot. We're very new to the Rewst platform, so I work for Network Outsource, and we're creating automations, working with the Rewst and getting like a lot of information back, building out some of our first ever. One that we want to focus on is utilizing the OpenAI crates for ticket categorization, sentiment analysis, and suggested responses. So we've tuned them a little bit, and we've set up it through the API. But the next steps that we want to look at is like, how do other MSPs like utilize these crates and set themselves up for like building out like a form of dispatching or triaging through Rewst? And what are those best practices? Is there anything like any helpful tips, anything that we can think about when we're like trying to build out something like this and just kind of like get our heads around it? Because right now, all we're focused on right now is getting those crates deployed for the ticket categorization, the sentiment analysis, and the suggested responses. What we've seen is that it's not like, we're trying to tune it to our environment, but the suggested responses, they're directly from ChatGPT and stuff. So it's not like completely in line with what we'd want. So yeah, I see somebody's hand is raised. So that's the question. If anyone can give some feedback on that.
Yeah, well, thanks, Nick, for jumping in. Alden, yeah, you had your hand raised. Go ahead.
So Nick, I mean, a lot of the meat and potatoes of this is going to be the building out a solid prompt, making sure that you're giving enough details to the LLM for what you want. So if you're assigning statuses, make sure that you're giving it a proper JSON input of the choices that it should have for the statuses. If you do want to have it, give some answers that are more in line with what you do. Definitely you need to kind of add a lang chain element so that you're really kind of working off of your internal data and not just the same static prompt every time. But with the prompt that Rewst has currently for the ticket sentiment analysis, it is really good, but it is also slightly generic. So it is. I would strongly recommend that you just kind of tinker with that and maybe work with your favorite Anthropic or ChatGPT model and come up with something that's a bit more personalized to your business's structure.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Definitely going to take that back and use some of that, because we've been trying to like tweak it, mess around with some of those templates and just get like the prompts as best as we can without giving it like too much information, so it's all over the place. I guess like to follow up on that, have any other MSPs or anyone like any clients utilized it to build it past these features and build out some sort of like dispatch through it, or using other means? Is there anyone that has seen that?
Linda.
So I didn't use OpenAI to build out a dispatch model for the MSP that I was at before Rewst. But what we did do is we had a very well documented process for how we dispatch tickets, right? So we broke that into much smaller workflows that became sub-workflows of a larger parent. In our instance, we utilized our PSA, like the team tab of the PSA, to figure out, okay, well, which techs work on which clients. And you can make smaller bits of workflows that say, well, give me the list of techs on the team tab for that client. And then you can use additional logic in different workflows that say, well, what type of ticket is this? What skill set is that tech? You can use the built-in features of the PSA for what skills they have or what their title is for, are they a level 1 tech? Are they a senior engineer? Things like that.
That's awesome. I didn't even think of that. So I took some notes there. So that's really helpful information. Thank you.
Hey, Nick.
No problem.
Linda?
I was just going to say, when you are ready to build that out, we have automation strategists, of which I am one. So you can get with your customer service manager and they can book a session and we can chat about it a little more.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you, Linda. Nick, the other cool thing about crates in general is they teach you, right? So you don't have to use our crate if you don't like the prompt or you want some extra steps. You can do two things. You can create your own using all the information you learned from that crate. And things like the OpenAI crate, we're not, it's not a highly modified or changed crate. And so you're probably even safe to unsync it and edit it directly if you want as well. So think of it as a great way to get ideas on how to build your own.
We'll definitely do that and mess around with it. And it's awesome to look at these crates and kind of learn from them. We've did that. To Linda's point, we did engage with the automation specialist for other projects that we're trying to schedule for this one as well. And just kind of using those sub workflows that exist, using different crates that exist, and just pulling that into things that we want to build out. It's been extremely helpful. So definitely take parts of this and then build out as well. It's a learning process. We're still learning, but it's super exciting. And we love the product and what we can get out of it. So we'll keep you guys updated.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. And thank you, everybody that demoed on the call today. I know that it takes a lot of work to prep. So the community thanks you for showing us what you built. Have a good weekend, everyone. Thanks for joining the open mic, and we'll talk to you again next Friday. See ya.
You too.
Meow. All right. Meow. Meow. Meow.